Hi students, in this video we will discuss about the significance of commutating capacitors in bistable multivibrators. As we know, the bistable multivibrator can be designed with the help of two identical NPN transistors, and they are cross coupled with the help of resistors. Now they are cross coupled. The collector of one transistor is connected to the base of another transistor through a resistor. This type of coupling is called DC coupling, and it is generating the output waveforms with the help of DC supply. The DC supply is, let us consider VCC, and the collector resistances are RC. Now we will use one more DC supply here, that is minus VBB. Resistors are R2, identical resistors we are considering here. Now this is a symmetrical network. Now we will apply an external triggering signals to the base of transistors to change the state from one stable state to another stable state. The name itself says it is a bistable multivibrator. It has two stable states. The transistor will be indefinitely in one of the stable states until we apply an external triggering to it. So when we apply an external triggering, this transition will happen from one state to another state. So let us take the initially the Q1 will on and Q2 is off. This is one of the stable state. Q1 is on means it is considered it is in saturation region, and Q2 is in cutoff. This is one of the stable state related to the bistable multivibrator. So whenever we are applying an external triggering to it, so we need to apply an external triggering here. So here it is negative triggering. So we need to apply a negative triggering to the on transistor so that it enters into the cutoff region. So for example, negative applied to the transistor Q1, the base voltage will be decreases, base current decreases. If base current decreases, collector current decreases. Collector current decreases means this transistor will be entering into the cutoff region, and the potential at this point rises. And when the potential at this point rises, the applied voltage at this transistor Q2 will be also rises. This we discussed in the case of bistable operation. And if this potential rises means the base current rises, and the collector current is also rises. The Q2 will be entering into the on state, the saturation region. Now whenever we are applying an external triggering, that is negative triggering to the transistor Q1, so there is a possibility of change. The Q1 becomes off and Q2 becomes on, and this is in cutoff region, and the transistor Q2 is in saturation region. So the time interval during which the transition happens, or a transfer of conduction happens from one transistor to another transistor, is called as transition time. So we need the transition time. Ideally the transition time should be as minimum as possible. For example, this potential at this point is VC1 and here is VC2. The VC1 potential is initially it is low because the transistor is on. Transistor is on means it is almost short circuited. The potential is low. Whenever we are applying an external triggering signal, this will enter into the cutoff region, and the potential at this point will be rises. It will be maximum, approximately equal to VCC. So it will be high voltage. Now this transition from low to high should be instantaneous, ideally. So when we apply a triggering here, a reset pulse, negative triggering pulse, now the transition will happen from high to low. So this transition time should be as minimum as possible. Ideally it will be 0, but practically there is a transition time, the conduction. So the time interval during which the conduction transfer from one transistor to another transistor is called as transition period. So this is the transition period. This transition period need to be minimized. This is existing because of the parasitic or stray capacitance which is existing between the elements here. So here the two elements are connected to the base of Q1 is R1 and R2. Whenever the two elements are connected with some potential difference, there is always a possibility of existence of stray capacitance, and this concept we discussed in the case of attenuators. When there is a stray capacitance effect here, now there is a possibility of transition time. So we will discuss this part. So whenever two or more elements are connected together, there is always a possibility of stray capacitance. That effect we have considered at this transistor Q1. The same effect will present at the transistor Q2 also, because it is a symmetrical network. So if the potential at this point is VC2 and resistor R1, and this is connected to the resistor R2, and the potential at this point is minus VBB, and one more logical capacitance we are considered here, that is Ci, and this is the network which is at the input of the transistor Q1. Now this forms an uncompensated attenuator. This we discussed in case of attenuators. This forms an uncompensated attenuator, and this circuit will be frequency dependent. Now it is frequency dependent. The time constant of this network is represented as R equivalent into C. So R equivalent into Ci. So what is R equivalent here? The equivalent resistance which is present in this network by nullifying the effect of DC voltages. So DC voltages are VC2 and VBB. So when we nullify the effect of DC sources, if there are voltage sources, the effect will be short circuited. If there are current sources or current DC, they will be considered as an open circuit here. So when they are short circuited, these two elements comes in parallel. So it is R1 parallel with R2, R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. The time constant of this network, which is at the base of transistor Q1, is equal to R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into Ci. So if the time constant is R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2 into Ci, this means it is depending on the capacitance, that is the logical capacitance or stray capacitance Ci here. So now whenever for example the voltage is changing from low voltage level to high voltage level, this should be instantaneous. Ideally it will be instantaneous change, but practically what happens due to this time constant, this will not be an instantaneous change. So what happens, it takes some time to change from low voltage level to high voltage level. This particular period is called transition period or transition time. This transition time depends on the time constant. So what is time constant is the time required for the response to reach 63.2% of its final value is called as time constant. So this is the transition time for a rising exponential. Again, when there is a change in the state from high to low, so there is a possibility of now falling exponential here. For a falling exponential, the time constant is defined as the time required for the response to reach 36.8% of its initial value. So this transition time exists in the circuitry because of stray capacitance. We need to reduce this effect of stray capacitances in case of multi vibrators here. So this particular circuit forms an uncompensated attenuator, which we discussed already, with a capacitor and resistor. So it forms an uncompensated attenuator. So to reduce the effect of this stray capacitance here, we need to connect a parallel capacitor across the resistor R1. This parallel capacitor is called as shunting capacitor. So we have to connect a parallel capacitor. This is called shunting capacitor. So when we connect a parallel capacitor across this will be acting like a perfect compensator or compensated attenuator circuitry. So we need to connect a parallel capacitors across the resistors to reduce the effect of stray capacitances which are present at the base of transistors. So this is a circuitry for perfect compensation, as we discussed it for perfect compensation in attenuators. For perfect compensation, R1 C1 must be equal to R2 C2. There we discussed in case of attenuator. Here in place of C2 we have Ci. So the value of C1, a physical capacitance which is connected across the R1, need to be considered with R2 divided by R1 into Ci. So the designer has to select the value of the capacitor C1 in such a way that it must be equal to R2 divided by R1 into Ci. This we discussed in case of attenuators. So this is for perfect compensation. And to reduce the effect of stray capacitance, we need to consider this C1 is equal to R2 divided by R1 into Ci, so that this effect of stray capacitance will be nullified and the circuit will be frequency independent, and there is no rise and there is no time constant here. So the circuit will be independent of capacitor, means there is no time constant. It will be respond instantaneously for the given input voltages. The C1 is equal to R2 divided by R1 into Ci. These capacitors are connected in parallel, and they will be called as commutating capacitors because they reduce the effect of stray capacitances at the base of transistor, and they are also called as speed up capacitors. Because they are increasing the speed of operation, that is from low level to high level. From high level to low level, the transition becomes instantaneous. That's why they are called as speed up capacitors. These are also called as transpose capacitors. So because it produces the reverse effect of stray capacitances, so that's why they are called as transpose capacitance. The name for these shunting capacitors are called commutating capacitors or speed up capacitors or transpose capacitors. These will reduce the effect of stray capacitances and will increase the speed of operation. The value of these shunt capacitors will be selected in such a way that it must be equal to R2 divided by R1 into Ci. So these capacitors will allow fast rise and fall times. And the values of these capacitors will lie in the range of tens to hundreds of picofarads. Depends upon the stray capacitance. They will lie from few tens of picofarads to hundreds of picofarads, and this will reduce the transition time, and they are connected in parallel with the resistors. They are very small capacitors, are used to reduce the transition period. I hope you understand this lecture. Thank you for watching this video.